Greetings, welcome back to Airgoons. This is Octochin, and I'm going to show you how to land on land in the F-14 Tomcat. A couple of things I want to go over first. I want to show you some of these gauges. These over here, your engine RPM. This right here is your fuel flow, so if you cut back on the throttle, you'll sip less fuel. Give it more, it'll suck more fuel. Speaking of fuel, over here is your fuel gauge. This is your total. This is what your bingo is set at. You can adjust that here. And this right here is your feed. So what we're going to do, since I'm dumping ammo or fuel right now with my little handy dandy fuel dump switch right here, I'm going to go ahead and stop dumping fuel. I've already jettisoned all the weapons to pretend like, hey, we've already done a successful mission. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn back towards Sochi. Which honestly I have no idea where it is. I'm going to assume it's somewhere this way. We'll check the map here in a second. Speaking of gauges, this is your altimeter, if you've seen the startup video. So we're kind of high. This is our, I'll go over the speedometer real quick. The outer ring is for your Mach. So it'll adjust to whatever altitude you're at, because the higher altitude you are, the slower you have to go to be at a higher Mach. This inner one is your knots. So right now we're almost at 500, going pretty fast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut the throttle all the way back as we descend beneath these clouds. I'm going to go ahead and check the map, just see where I am. Yeah, I'm heading pretty much towards Sochi. You can go ahead, and down here are your displays. You have takeoff, cruise, air to air, air to ground, and landing. I'm going to go ahead and put in landing. And that's not really going to change much. It'll give you the little bracket and everything like that. And you can use a tack in and all that good stuff. But we're not going to worry about that because I'm just going to do this just visual landing. I just want to show you the actual controls that you'll use. Alright, there's our airport right over there. So we'll start heading towards that. I'll go over the HUD a little bit. This right here is your vertical speed indicator. You also have an analog one of that right here, because this right here will not be displayed the entire time along with this ladder. I'll show you real quick. If you put it in air-to-air mode, a lot of that stuff goes away. So you won't have that on there the entire time. But since it's on there for our landing, we'll go ahead and use it. This is our current airspeed. We're about 250, so we can go ahead and drop our landing gear, and we'll go ahead and drop our flaps too. I'm going to give it some throttle because I want to stay above 200 knots. Once our gear is down, if you will look out over the wings, I'm going to go ahead and push my countermeasures button. Because with the gear down, that's also going to enable our DLC. You see these little flaps that come up. Now I can use DLC up and down, and that right there is our direct lift control. So if I want to go down, I'll do that. And if I want to go up, I'll do that. The Tomcat really likes to fly. So you can see them out here on the outer wings. They go up and down, up and down. Isn't that great? Woo-wee, as Dandy would say. Going to give it a little bit of throttle. It's okay to go below 200 knots. The Tomcat really loves to fly, so it's no big deal. It just means it's going to take us longer to get to the airport. Another thing that you'll want to do is, if you do have it on, you're going to want to go ahead and disengage your autopilot, so that way you have control. And then you just sit here and you wait. Although I do think there is a speed up time button on here, but honestly, I always fly in VR and never in single player, so this is all foreign to me. But I'm not giving it any inputs. See if I can bring that up. Yeah, I'm not giving it any inputs at all. Although I should, since I'm starting to drift to the right. Now, if you've watched any of my videos so far, you'll know I don't do things by the book. I'm never ever going to get into a real Huey and fly it, or a real HIP, or a real Tomcat and fly it. I've spent enough time in these modules to know what works in DCS and what doesn't. That's why I throw my hip throttle all the way up, because I've never had the engines catch fire or cut out on me because they're overworked. So might as well have max power all the time. Same with landing. I don't do it by the book. I use my eyes and I just gauge the ground, how fast I'm going, how fast I need to be going. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just going to go ahead and line up with the runway. I'm keeping my speed relatively low. Since I'm this close, I don't want to be going too fast. You can also apply your air brakes if needed.
1,000 feet.
If you look at my controls, I always shake my stick. That's to try to keep it from overcorrecting. I do it in the helicopters and I do it in
400.
the Tomcat because it's not fly-by-wire, but fly-by-wires,
200 feet.
I'll go ahead and I don't need to do that.
100 feet. 50. 30.
So I'm going to go ahead and use my DLC to push myself down. And we land. Now before you start hitting the brakes, you might want to look down here. You're going to flip this switch up, which is going to turn on your anti-skid. You can do that while in the air, which I should have done, but now I can go ahead and apply the brakes and I won't go sliding off the runway. So we're just going to go ahead, brake, come to a nice slow speed, turn on our nose wheel steering, and we'll just go ahead and taxi right off the runway. That's all there is to it. You can do the same thing on carriers, just remember, use your hook. Or you can be a nerd and go through case 1 and all that stuff, because hey, that's the way you like to do it. That's totally fine with me. I don't, and that's how I do it. And y'all have a blessed day.